And so anyway, it's easy. They generate $400,000 a year in parking fees. I don't know how much you generate. I have no idea. Remember, we're here just as visitors. And by the way, costs them about $150,000 a year. This is for enforcement officers and all that kind of stuff. Because they don't pay passport parking for any of this stuff. And by the way, any money that comes from parking revenues should be reinvested in the district where it was earned. Parking should never be a general fund revenue source. Parking is an economic development activity. You know what the revenue source is? Property values. That's what you're trying to do, is increase your property values. So parking is an amenity, like a convention center, like a city park. It's an amenity, and that money should be reinvested. Now, granted, you can take away your costs out of that, the cost of maintaining it all and enforcement and those things. You know what they did in Spokane, Washington? This is so cool. They had 2-hour parking, which I don't like. But a friend of mine went in downtown Spokane. He got a ticket. But you know what the ticket said? Incredible shopping, world-class entertainment, the region's best dining or professional service. Don't worry, your parking meter expired. This courtesy parking ticket extended your parking privileges an extra hour. They can handwrite in 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Continue to enjoy your visit downtown Spokane, and then they tell you where you can find all-day parking. And you know what they do is their lodging tax, their Convention and Visitors Bureau will reimburse the city the 50 cents or whatever. It's too bad they have to do that. But you know what? When Mike got that, he said it made me love Spokane because they cared about me. And by the way, these parking enforcement officers, they got this warning. If you get one of these, the next time you wait a ticket, because this time we gave it to you. So they just type in the license plate number so that somebody doesn't abuse it, right? And it's all handheld devices. It works. Now, I actually found your parking garage. It was great. But what I would suggest is this. 1 hour is $3. 2 hours is $4. For an extra $1, I get twice as much time. And then 3 to 24 hours, $5. So you same amount of revenues. But see what I mean? I front-loaded it. And for an extra $1, you can stay longer. And I'm really glad that you do this, that after 3 hours, you have $5. That's really cool. I'm glad you're doing it. You know why it's cool? It gives people incentive to stay longer because it's free after 3 hours. People do that. It's cool. You want to spend enough, you get to park free. So I was working in Covington, Kentucky, right over the river from Cincinnati. It's called Newport on the Levee there. They've got this parking garage, and you can go. It says, if you spend $20 or more, your $3 parking is free. Show your receipt on the way out, because it's staffed like your parking garage is. And so what they would do, let me go back to that. They would go in there, they would park in there, they'd go to a movie. 2 people in a movie was like $15. You know what people do? They'd find a way to spend the other $5 so they could get the $3 parking for free. They did, because they for it. So you know, retail sales went up as a result. And that's at the cost of losing the rent and the parking. How cool is that? And so, if you insist on 2-hour parking, then tell me where the all-day. So everywhere there's 2-hour parking, you can say 2-hour parking right here, all-day parking goes straight left, and I wouldn't give them all those arrows. I'd pick one. The Visitor Information Center, and I did find a spot that was 20 minutes. Once again, I'm going in there, I'm going, oh man, I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to ask him where there's a good place to eat. I wanted to ask him all this, but I only have 20 minutes. And so I go in there and everything, and then I came out and said, by the way, I'm looking for a place to park. And she said, well, you could back up. There's spaces right out there. It says, I don't have enough quarters. Can you make some change for me? She goes, no, but we do have a change machine out there in the space. You know, and once again, it's another step that you don't have to do. And then you got to maintain all the cash machines and all that kind of stuff. And so I went in there, it was great, and that change machine is right over here, as you know. But it's behind a post. I had to go in and ask. And so, by the way, I'm not sure why you have compact cars only everywhere in town, and I'm glad you consider a 4-door truck like this a compact car. So it's just, just the semis and deliveries that are not allowed, right? But what that week, all compact can go to Lizzie's. And even garage. Unfortunately, I flew into Rapid City and they put me in like a Ford Excursion, a big monster thing. I was around the garage trying to find a space that isn't for compact cars only. You're not very visitor friendly. And it's parking. If I go eat here, there's parking across the street, but it says for Hampton Inn guests only. So I guess if I'm not staying at Hampton Inn, I cannot go in these places unless I park way down somewhere else and then walk up. That's what it says. So it's Hampton Inn guests, or if I want to go to Four Aces, can I park there? Am I going to get a ticket? You know what you're doing is you could probably do your spending in Deadwood just fixing the parking nightmare. So, now, number 10. Toys attract more than flies. It's the gotta go rule. I show my wife, man, that's my kind of city. We made that up. But you know what you could do? You want to do some cool things? You could do what they did in London. They have these glass bathrooms. It's not much bigger than a telephone booth. It's about the size of this part of the stage. And you go there, see all the reflective glass and everything. You know what's really cool about this bathroom? That's it from the outside. This is it from the inside. It's one-way glass. How do you would actually use that bathroom? It could be a tourist attraction. In Springs, there it is. And you can't see inside. Even if you walk up there, you look in the windows. And it's 30,000. They have two of them. And inside, as you can see the truck outside, you can see right through the glass there. There it is. And you know what? Springs is 5 miles off the freeway, Interstate 30 in Texas, about an hour and a half east of Dallas. People drive that just to check out these glass bathrooms. They become a tourist attraction. And what they do is at night they shine up on the outside, make sure it's always lighter on the outside. If those lights went out and you were in there, they'd whoop. But the number one reason people stop in the world is to use the restroom. So you could even do this in a local men's room. That's a mural, by the way. You'll measure over here? Okay. You know what you need to do is make sure none of your merchants ever do this. For customers only, or no public restrooms. So I'm working in Wickford, Rhode Island, and I saw this great little shop, and right here on the door, by the way, I'm going to get to another statistic, but it says your husband called. He said, He said you could spend whatever you want. But what I'm showing this is there's a little sign on the door, and there it is. Never say no. Tell me where I can go. I don't see any public restrooms anywhere in Deadwood. Maybe they're somewhere, but I didn't see them. No sign of them that I saw. And so that's what you need to do. Put them where people can spend money. You know what? Leave visitors spend more. That's true. McDonald's has a corporate policy of never putting for customers only. You know why? Because 70% of the people that walk in to use the restroom with no intention of buying anything will buy something. Half buy of impulse. While we're here, let's get something to eat, something to drink. Get cold sales. Use the bathroom, better buy something. Because the last thing that happen in Deadwood is to see signs like this popping up. This is my humor for the day. You know where the best place for public washrooms, restrooms, or for visitor information is? Right there. There it is, restroom, and right there's the visitor information. Isn't that cool? Here's another one in this town. This is Gig Harbor, Washington. There's a public restroom, and right outside the restroom is this right here. All of these different things, brochures and everything. There it is. Think about it. When you're at home, where do you do most of your reading? Right? Number 11, gathering places. We're in the age of third places. The first place is the place we live. It's our home. The second place is the place we work. The third place is the place we go to hang out. Starbucks built an entire brand around third places. That's exactly what our focus was in Rapid City with Main Street Square, to create a third place. Do you know what happened? You know that Main Street Square has been open about 3 years. How many been there? Virtually everybody here. You know what? In 3 years, the average age of a person buying a home in Rapid City dropped by 12 years. The young people that grew up there all of a sudden thought it was cool to come back. We are moving to that European standard. Almost every town, this is Siena, almost every town in Italy is built around a piazza. It has worked for centuries. We built a culture around the car. For the first time, we want out of our cars, we want a pedestrian experience. We want these kinds of places. We want them where you can monetize them. That's why it's so important at Rapid City that they took that Sears building, there's all those restaurants right there. You have to monetize it. But this is what we're gravitating to. The obvious place, and by the way, I don't want you to go cookie cutter what Rapid City's doing. I want you to do something totally different. But entertainment, those kinds of things. I want to show you one example. This is in Fallbrook, California. It's a town of 30,000, and they had a little corner right here where they tore out an old building. It's only 6,000 square feet. They turned a little plaza. Now remember, Rapid Cities is an acre, so it's about 45,000 square feet. But they took this 6,000 square feet, put this little brick half wall in there. The city owns it. They lease it to a gal for $1 a month. She makes her money from the vendors in there. She has to be open 4 days a week and pretty much year round. This is in Southern California, so they can do that. And all kinds. Some it might be a farmer's market. Some might have chainsaw carvers in there. You might have ice carvers in there. You might have chess tournaments in there. It's all little activities. It's art shows, Christmas tree forest, a boo thing for Halloween. And so she just runs it, and it's full of life, and people hang out there. And by what the future is of the United States is actually having pedestrian streets closed to traffic. Now, let's stay right here. And I'm not saying you have to go do this next year, but what happens is the busier and busier your town gets, at some point, your sidewalks are too crowded, then you do that. We've worked in too many towns that went close off the streets and then their downtown died because they didn't have the right business mix. So I just want you to be aware of that. I show this everywhere. You know, when we went to Rapid City, this, by the way, is the middle of July. You know all these cars here? One of them has a South Dakota license plate because they're the employees. This is in the middle of July. And you know what the problem is with the president? It's like your staff. Bell. It's static. Question for you. How many of you favorite president took your picture with your favorite president downtown Rapid City? Raise your hands. How many of you got there just to see all the presidents? What did you do? Did you help do those? So, by the way, they're not bad, they're great. But once again, been there, done that. It wasn't working for him. And so in the middle of July, there's a local kid there. There's a couple people walking down there. I mean, there was nothing going on. Middle of July. Because you know, here, they're somewhere else. So there it is. I went to the city and said, you take out that 60-space parking place. By the way, I don't even want you to replace the 60 spaces. The merchants scream bloody murder. I mean, I hustled it out as fast as I could. I don't want any of the credit because they did the heavy lifting. I tear out that Sears building. Remember I said it takes patient money? So there's a guy there you've probably heard of, Ray Hildebrand. He owns Prairie Edge. By the way, Prairie Edge is the anchor tenant. People drive 100 miles just to go to Prairie Edge. And what They might have lunch at the Firehouse Brewing Company, across the street at Botticelli's. They might do other things there, but they have the anchor tenant. It's one of the best retail stores in the United States. So clear out that building, make it a big one. Add another floor in that parking garage. As a matter of fact, I told them that what they needed to do was go from this to that. They didn't do it. They didn't listen. Wouldn't that be cool? So here's what they did. This is it before, and of course you've been there. This was on a Sunday morning at 10 a.m. It works. And almost all of you have been there. I mean, it's amazing what they've done. Did they do everything that they should have done? No. I talked to Dan Seffner that runs it all the time. He's saying, yeah, Roger, I wish we do this. They're now going to buy an extension to put on the stage to do bigger shows. You know, I mean, it went on and on. Here at 10 o'clock in the morning, they're programming it 200 days a year. It's programmed with something, whether it's ice skating, the spray fountains, cars are coming. I mean, you name it. You know, there it is when the splash pad is shut off. There it is, you know, right there. You know, there it is when it's on. You know, Ray Hildebrand said he bought that. By the way, I told him Charlotte Sears building. He bought the building and then gave the city $1 million. Smart, because that's the most expensive real estate in Rapid City now. He was no dummy. They were sitting up in my office at Prairie Edge over there, and I was looking over this way. Out of there, I saw those kids out there, and this is when it was kind of under construction. I saw what this was doing for the community, so I gave them another $1 million. And then, you know, Firehouse Brewing, all these places just took off. You know, they have very few vacancies now. There's not the turnover they used to have, and they could have built it for $5 million. And that's what they spent, and this is how it was paid for, just so you know. And by the way, that's bigger than Rockefeller Center's Plaza, 8,200 square foot ice rink. There's what it looks like. And you know what? Look what somebody said. I love the square, and someone who works downtown, I've seen the difference it has made. I see so many more locals coming down here, just hang out and have fun. And I come back downtown on the evenings and weekends, which I never did before. I love seeing my friends, colleagues, and from my cashier at the grocery store to my hairdresser to the mayor hanging out events at the square. Look at what you know what they do Monday night movies on the square? The average is 3,500. I found this Facebook post. This up. I was in Rapid City and it was never as cool as it is now. Bingo. So, you know, I went back 2 years ago and started walking in stores. And I did that. I made a face. I would go, you know, there's this Main Street Square over there. I made the face. How's that? Is that really helping your business? These are complained. Best thing Rapid City has ever done. By the way, they don't really have a brand as Rapid City. They are the hub, the Queen City for the Black Hills experience. There's no retail. They have one new retail vacancy, lower turnover, business now open later in the evening. Many of the businesses have broken their sales records. The average population age is dropping. It's now a great place for conferences, conventions, and trade shows because there's something to do after 6 o'clock. Head down to the square. And now they're going to work on wayfinding. Even street trees can increase retail sales by 18%. You know, before I get into this, I walked up and down your lower Main Street. You know, it's wide enough that you could have parallel parking on both sides and then still have your 2 lanes of traffic. I thought, well, it doesn't look like you already have parking there. Why can't you extend the sidewalks out there, except where the trolleys need to pull in, since there's no parking anyway, and allow outdoor cafes? Start making it a people place rather than a vehicular place. So, community gateways. Why do residential subdivision developers spend that kind of money on a gateway? Now, how many of you are looking at this picture right now, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, that must be a mobile home park? You're not. You're thinking that's pretty expensive stuff, right? Here's the point. It sets an increased perceived value of what's behind here, right? Doesn't it? You assume there's no trailer parks back there. It creates pride of ownership. Don't you think when these homeowners drive in, they go, wow, I live here. And does it get your attention? Absolutely. Does it say something about the community? Yes. It must be high-end homes. It sells the real estate faster at an increased value, and the same thing applies to you, Deadwood. And so, always put your gateway signs where you make the first best impression, not at the city limits. Because when we sign that says Deadwood, Whatever on the sign is how we're going to judge you. We're like our territories with signs. At the city limits. Use the opportunity to direct people to your downtown. I saw these. I saw this one, and I got the logo and plastic because you know what the problem is? I read that. They're condensed, they're black. I can't even make out. The only way I could make out all this stuff is if I got my car up to the sign in the snow. Beautiful signs. But, you know, I thought, man, that word Deadwood should be clear across there. And then I still know what this says. Resting. I can't even read it. I think they're beautiful signs, but I think it should make a statement more. And the problem, the reliefs and stuff, you can't see them unless you walk right up to the sign. So just a comment. I'm not saying you take them out or start over at all. But I went back to this one. And if we could put something there, you know, that just said Deadwood, big bold letters, you know, the legend lives on, or whatever the tagline is about, you know, I can't remember what it is, law on you loose, or whatever you're using, which I thought was pretty cool. But maybe you do something like, see what I mean? About, boom, make a statement, make it easier to read. So these are just, remember, these are just suggestions. What happened is, when I went into Deadwood for the first time, right on the outside. Because I was driving down the way, this was just an entrance to the Hampton Inn. I didn't see anything. There was nothing that said Historic Main Street this way. There was no signage or anything that really did this. And way we have like 4 seconds to read this, and I see like 2 words. Mardi Gras. Man, I saw my name on there today, and I've been driving about 20 times. And I it said wanted before. Limit the messages. Consider Historic Main Street with an arrow somewhere. Right, I can't read this. What Main Street? What that Main Street, or this is the Main Street? If this just said Historic Main Street with an arrow right here and letters on that back, I could read it. So these are little things you could do to make it easier, because you know, really make a statement. And for years I've been calling it lead, and I corrected it, and I still call it lead. Because I always say, man, here we are next to Deadwood, we should be packing the lead. But here's the deal with your gateways. They need to be inviting. This is historic York, Pennsylvania. What York, do not enter. Number 13, wayfinding system. Because you know, signs like this are just not very helpful. On a wayfinding system, and I'm really glad. But one thing I want you to do with your wayfinding system, by the way, wayfinding is directional signage. It should be no sense. You have 9 aluminum signs that the historic nature, they don't fit anything. Stop already and do some that are definitive, that reinforce whatever it is you want to be known for. That's Pittsburgh, California. It's a little Italian fishing village town. You know, here's Wisconsin. By the way, these signs are about, there was about $650. It's anodized aluminum. It's got an aqueous coating so ice, snow, graffiti won't stick on it. It's on an existing power pole. But some with these signs, there's never more than 4 or 5 items on a sign. Wayfinding. We have 4 seconds. Over in Washington State, there's one for visitors, there's one for local services. You know, this is one that we designed for equestrian, and the signs look like equestrian. In York, England, it's a 17th century town. They made sure the signs, even though they're 20 years old, it fits the brand. Your signs do not fit your brand if you want it to be the Old West, if you want us to step back in time. And I don't know if you do or not. It doesn't look like it. It looks like you've kind of gone away from that. And, you know, that's an entertainment district. Covington, that's the place for the parking garage. It looks like it would be an entertainment district. And it needs to be, and by the average city that does a wayfinding has seen their retail sales services increase by 18%. Would you like that? And so that's what you can do. It is an investment. And it is much a science as it is an art. So get somebody professional to do it for you. And I don't know what you're doing. All I know is Kevin told me that, yes, we are working on wayfinding. This sign here is about $1,500. That's North Adams, Massachusetts. But no, 1, 2, 3, 4 items there. 5 lines basically. This is Woodlands, Texas. The sign looks like a town that would be Woodlands. And so that's what you have to do with wayfinding. By the way, you need pedestrian wayfinding so that if we're on Main Street, we know we can go across the highway, and it's because there's cool stuff over there. But you know what? So it also includes pedestrian wayfinding. Here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, this is the mall district, but they also have their little historic district, their civic center district, and another district. And they make it easy. That's why Disney does this. This is French Lick, Indiana. Even doing those, notice it's not street names. It'll just tell you Adams Museum over there, or I can't remember the name of the great, there was a Mickelson, the trail. Those kinds of things. That's what these are about. Wayfinding. That's really good here, by the way. And you know what they did in Lewiston, Idaho? This is a little town. Everywhere you park when you get out of their car, they tell you what there's to see and do right there. As soon as you get out of your car, they say, by the way, while you're here, guess what's right here? Wouldn't that be cool? Less than 5 visitors stop at visitor information if they can find that. And there you go. It plays a role in your branding efforts. It's part of your marketing efforts. It reinforces a positive experience. It increases spending. It educates visitors and locals about what you got and where it's at. It builds community pride, and as much a science as it is an art. National Historic Landmark. Really? We got link fences, pilings here. We've got this. Really looks like a National Historic Landmark. That tells you where it's at. And by the way, it's a district. Well, maybe it's your district. You know what? Kevin did correct me. He said, you know what? Really, it is our whole, what used to be the incorporated city limits. But the point is, I'm going, this doesn't look very historic to me. Right? Think like a visitor. And I went, whoa, that's not a great branding statement. So here, driving down here, this Main Street parking ramp. There's nothing that even, and I don't know if it's straight that or straight this way. The arrow's not going to the right. And what the heck is a parking ramp? It should just say with the arrow to the right. As a matter of fact, it should say historic Main Street and then parking with the arrow tilted to the right. And there it says RV parking is this way, and I know that's probably right over here. But these are things you could fix. And by the way, it should not be these signs. It should fit whatever your brand is. And so there it is. And so then I came down here. I had to do, and I did. I drove right past it. And then all of a sudden, as I go around, I'm going, crap, I'm on the wrong side of downtown. And then you know what I did? I didn't know you could go down at the other end. You know what I did? I went up a ways. You saw where I saw the lead sign? I turned around, came back all the way down, and then pulled in there. Because there's no wayfinding to tell me anything different. So, right here, I see parking. And I thought, okay, so maybe this is the parking ramp they're talking about. So there and it says, Hampton Inn and all that. Yeah. And so, so then then stuff like this, I'm going, oh my gosh, overload. Too much sign clutter. I see a sign there that's historic looking that just says lodging, dining, shopping, and attractions with a right arrow. And then turn right, you can say Best Western is up here, this place is up a little further. But when you just, don't before you notice that, notice to you hotel owners, I know I'm going to hear it, but it's just like, we got here, we got turn right here, and I'm going, trying to figure it out. History and Information Center right there, and the snow, here, second sign, third sign, fourth sign, fifth sign, sixth sign, seventh sign, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here's the walking one, which I totally missed, because I'm busy reading the other 10 signs. can't even read. I get this one down, up there and that one, and then read that. And so, Burlington Route, the Burlington Route, never anything about any Burlington route. Deadwood Trail, I never found that one. But we did find the Mickelson Trail, and found it, and we did find these, and it took us to that parking lot. When we pulled in the parking lot, I still didn't know where the trail was because parked in front of the sign is. So we're driving in the parking lot, finally we found it. So even right pulling there, it says, it's this way, help us out. Make for a pleasant experience, and we will spend more time and more money here. And so, I don't know, I think this is this the Visitor Information Center that's right there? Okay. And there you go. And by the way, your visitor information should be working 24/7. This does not mean there should be people staffed there at 2 o'clock in the morning. What I'm talking about is out here, visitors are here around the clock. They're here. They're not here just when you're open. And same with this. Concerned, the trolley is not off this time of year until I saw it driving around. Until I found a brochure somewhere that told me about the trolley. But you know what it didn't tell me anywhere? How often does it run? We stayed up at the lodge up on the hill. I saw the trolley there a couple times, but I don't know how I back. And by the way, if you want people to use trolleys, the rule of convenience is every 20 minutes. If it's every hour, we'd probably just drive. I'm just letting you know. And I know you get lots of visitors on the trolley. I think the trolley's cool. But I saw it closed. I have no idea. I get rid of every single closed sign. And that should say, we open every April 1st. Or whenever you open. Closed means, and I'm assuming that's permanently closed. Or is it a summer thing? It's open in the summer. What? July 4th or Memorial Day? See what I mean? So this is an idea. This is another visitor. But right to the right of the door, these little real estate brochure holder type things, that's all you need. It doesn't have to be expensive. Here's another one. Just that. You put your visitor guide or something in there. So it's always working for you. Here's another town that did these. See them right there and right there? It doesn't have to be expensive. Got a little cover on it. These are the kinds of things we're talking about. Just something really simple. So your visitor information is working. We were working in North Platte. I tried to go with Bill. Not Wild Bill. And Scott's Ranch there. And the building is in a gazebo. It's all after bars. Hey, is Bill? They said he has jewels. Thieves come and steal the jewels, so he had to put bars all the way around him. And I said, take him, put him in Scout's Rest Ranch. So they started a campaign called Free Billy. Here's what North Platte did on its visitor information. See that there? They spent about $350. They had a local craftsperson craft this. And there it is. And it lifts up, and they've got all their brochures right there. So it's always working. And that's what you need to do. One is over in New Jersey in this little town, the Washington Street Mall. And I love this. It says, welcome friends old and new. Linger here a day or two. Isn't that cool? And local donations built that. And it's undercover. It's snow. In New Jersey, this is on the seashore. Notice all the brochures here. But if you want your brochure in there, you pay like $2 a month. You know what that does? It keeps it stocked, keeps it clean, and it's helping them build the next one. And it doesn't cost the merchants hardly anything. And there it is. Is that cool or what? Well, so these are the kinds of things you could do. And they should be here. I think that's cool. It's got a map of their little downtown. By the way, they got about the same population you have, about 1,400. Just really a cool little idea. 30% of travel decisions come from brochures prior to traveling. But once we're here, it jumps to 81%. We pull into Deadwood, we want to grab that best of brochure, we want brochures. Because now we'll be in our car, in our hotel room, and now we're going to read them. 81%. That's why your visitor information should be working around the clock. First good impression, your district gateways. You know where I said you have where the Nugget and Mineral Yeah, Mineral Palace. I thought, what if we did a gateway there? What if you did a gateway like this, and all of a sudden you went in there and you stepped back in time? I don't even know what your brand is going to be. You got to figure that out. But I thought, if you want to go back, that's about where that dividing line is, from there to Pine. I thought, could we develop something so that once you step in there, there's no cars parked in there. You know, it's got a nice pedestrian feel. We'll get more into that. And you know what? It creates a sense of place, a sense of arrival. We don't have it now. You don't really have a sense of arrival. You just kind of dumped onto Lower Main Street. Or on the other side, you don't really have. And on the other side of the street, you come to these T's and stuff, and then you got to figure: should I turn left? Should I turn right? Where should I go? You don't really have a sense of place. And so these kinds of things, I know, and you can spend a ton of money. I mean, you know, this is Gaslamp Quarter in downtown San Diego. And by the way, you know, I don't expect Deadwood to do this, but you know what? Pretty outstanding sense of place, doesn't it? And this is what it looks like at night. And you know what? When you do that, you can even just do it with pole banners. You've now arrived in historic, you know, Deadwood. These kinds of things. You can even do it with your crosswalks. By the way, these are not paver stones. That's embossed into the asphalt. It actually sinks down about 3/4 or about 1/2 inch. So it's not paint. You can do snow removal. This is in Pennsylvania. And you know, see those guys over there? They just finished this side. Now they're doing this side. You could drive on it instantly. You could have whatever design you want. You can make it look Old West. It's about $1 a square foot. You could have whatever design you want. But it makes it more pedestrian friendly by embossing these things. It makes a nice gateway. All that's just embossed in the asphalt. Lasts about 25 years. But even with your pole banners, you can do this. So, first of all, you know, I think where you're, I know that it is Valentine's Day tomorrow. And I'm not sure whether you just put up your Christmas decorations a little early for 2014, or just haven't gotten around to taking them down yet. Why the hell did I ever do this? So I thought, could you do your gateway right there? I mean, this is that section. You just go. When I came around this corner, I went, wow, this is cool. It is really cool. And even though like Sally's didn't really fit it, you know, it's still a really cool building. I loved it. But I thought right there, man, you could just, boom, this is it. You got all the beautiful lamps and everything. I mean, it is stunning. You know what? You have the best downtowns in the United States. And remember, I've been in all these states. I've worked in 1,000 of these cities. I've been in thousands of them. And here, it's even amazing for the Black Hills, because you know what? This is a nice, intimate setting. Do that. Fish is downtown. It's a freeway through there. Rapid City, Omaha, Mount Rushmore, right? Even their Main Street in Rapid City is 3 lanes wide. Matter of fact, you know what I told them to do? Make it 2 lanes. And make it 2-way, by the way. And so, what you have here, Hill City doesn't have this. Keene doesn't have this. You do. You're the best downtown easily in all the Black Hills. And so I thought, man, maybe that's the place you go. So all the things you just saw are what Kevin should be. No, I'm just kidding. What the public sector would do. These are all things that the public sector would do. Now, here's the last part. This is what you as merchants and property, I talked about property owners, this is what merchants need to take the lead on. But all things require property owners, merchants, and city. This is the age of public-private partnerships. And so, you know what? Any of you that go to the city and say, what are you doing for me lately? I'm going to come right back and say, what are you doing for yourself? Like street cleaning, pushing snow off sidewalks. It has to be a public-private partnership. So, number 15. This is the rule of blade signs. And you do have blade signs in your downtown, but I want you to orchestrate them different. Blade signs are things that are, what we do is when we walk down a sidewalk, or we're driving down any of your streets, I'm not talking about just Lower Main, but I'm also talking across the way, we look at our cars like this. We see signs that are perpendicular to us. So we're not going to go like this, seeing what you have painted on your facades out here. We're not going to see those signs way up where we're look out a windshield. You have 2-lane road. You've got a pretty busy downtown during the summer, I'll bet. And you know what? That's what we see. No consistent train. Notice something about this. I know instantly that this is collectibles, trains, and a restaurant. They're marketing what they're selling, not the name of the store. Use blade sign, make them consistent in height and size. You don't have some that are way high, some that are way low, some of that are under, some that are above awnings. And so all successful towns in the United States have these. This is Nantucket. There it is from an angle. This is it in California. Notice how they're consistent? This is it in Banff, Alberta. This is it in the town of Canmore, Alberta. Isn't that cool? And there's one right there. Can you tell in any of these stores? Because I'm on the other side of the street. If I was watching here, I know what's in these. And I know right now there probably is nothing in there. It looked like they're out of business or gone. But the point is, I only see these if I stop the traffic. And I know what Deadwood Badlands is. Or was. No clue. Mystery shopping. Can you tell me any of those shops? I'm a visitor. Give me incentive to keep walking down the street. Where's those blade signs? And they can be right under the awnings. They don't have to be big. I know there's a sign down there, but I have no idea. You know, what's in these shops? You know, here. Here's the next one. See this one? I think you can lower this one clear down here so the boot is right about here. See what I mean? You wouldn't have a conduit running up there and way out of my windshield. And so move it down, make them consistent height because you got some high, low, they're all over the place. You know, signage says a lot of Okay, you didn't think that was that funny. See the guy in his head there? Okay, now what do I do? Does this look like a nice place to stay? It does. You didn't even see the B&B, but that sign, which cost $225, made you say, wow, that must be pretty nice. Signage says a lot about you. Here's another one, White Salmon Inn. Nice signs. You know, I was on a retail store once. If you need a specific item, please knock. Other than that, we are closed, thank you. On the door. What happens when you're on vacation and you think you're going down memory lane just to find out the end? I was working in town. I went to a Beehive Ranch. I went, I love this place. I'm driving the road. Then the next ranch is the ranch, and then the next one. Be careful about the audience I show that one to, but I figured this is Deadwood. They're rough and tumble. You know, signage says a lot to you. Can you read this? You never use script writing on a sign. By the way, see visitor information. It's back there. We got art district, museum, Longhorn cattle cars down there, go-karts. I mean, you know, look at this. This is Ellensburg, Washington. Would you ever guess that's one of the top 20 rated rodeos in the United States? You can tell all the beat-up old tires here, the weeds, the garbage, the old guardrails. See what I mean? Looks like it'd be a really horrible rodeo. So, and this is, you see these all whiting. I'm in Wisconsin and sign. There was a keynote speaker, and we had 1,200 people in the audience. I showed the sign, and a lady jumped. She started going like this. And so I stopped. They took a big spot, showed it on her, and I said, yeah, can I help her? And she yelled, can you tell me how to get there? Does this look like a nice place to stay? We judge the book by signs. And finally, sometimes it comes down to a personal level. This gives new this gives new meaning to the word branding. How do you think it is when he got home and saw his clothes hanging in the tree? And yep. Here's what I want your businesses to do. Can you tell me what this is? How many? Come on, yell it out. Crab restaurant? Club? They went out of business because you know what? They sold kites and windsocks. Here's the deal with shoppers. If we don't know instantly what you're selling, we will not go in to find out. I have no clue what Branch House is. Not a clue. I don't know whether it's an architect's office. I don't know whether it's retail. I don't know whether it's a hotel. I have no clue, so I didn't even bother going over there. I have no clue. I have no clue what Tin Lizzie is. Whether it's a retro gas station, if it's a restaurant, if it's a casino, if it's a hotel, I have no clue. It's just Tin Lizzie. I don't know. I don't know what Tin Lizzie is, then I got it. I have no clue what Deadwood Gulch is. It's not obvious. And most of your windows are tinted, so you can't even tell when you walk by at night when you're closed. What's in there. You must promote what you're selling before the name of your store. I don't know what the stockade is. I don't know whether it's a little dining thing. I don't know where the kids go in there and they actually get their hands in a stockade. I don't know. I have no clue what it is. I don't know what Lee Street Station is. No clue. There's nothing that says. It's a cool building. I have no clue what's in there. And you know, that's the deal with visitors. If it's not obvious, we're not going to go try it. Some people will, but you could probably triple your business just by making it obvious what you have in there. Wood nickel, not a clue. I have no idea what it is. I don't know if it's gifts, collectibles, a casino, no clue. This is all over in Deadwood. I don't think I've ever seen so many details in a company that I had no clue what they were. I have no clue what Goldberg's is. C-store, I'm guessing that's convenience store, the Gold Dust, but I'm not quite sure. And then we got here, Gold Dust Gaming. So is this a convenience store? Not too sure what that is. Gaming, you know what I mean? So once again, I have no clue what Outer Place is. I do something with dairy. You know, Wild there. I think that's Wild Bill, but I don't know what it is. Oh, see, I've seen one, you've seen them all. No, I'm just kidding. Even when it comes to places like this, that is beautiful. There should be a sign there that says coming soon. Tell me what's coming. Whenever you use words like coming soon, it says it's an invitation to come back and check it out. So there's a missed opportunity there. I have no clue what's going to go in there. This one here, this is the best sign in all of Deadwood. But I have not a clue what it is. It's sleeping rooms. But it doesn't say lodge, it doesn't say anything. I have no clue what it is. And by the way, when the Butch Cassidy and Sundance kids named that one. See what I mean? These people are everywhere. Saloon, I figured that's a saloon. Now, here, smokes were a saloon, a hotel, food, antiques, and ice cream. So it's not a restaurant because you can't. You'd have a restaurant with all their stuff, and so I wasn't too sure. But I went, holy smokes, they got everything. But you know what? Maybe focus on the main thing that'll pull us in the door, and then while you're in there, guess what? We also have ice cream, whatever it is. And so in this one, this is good. It says mercantile and gift. Got it. Piece of cake. Good sign. Now, right there, Deadwood Gift Shop. And you know what? The word gift is in big letters. Congratulations to whoever owns that shop. Because they put the reason I'd go in there, gift in big letters. That's what other people need to do. A lot of these that said winter hours, yet they're not during those hours. As a matter of fact, that sign looks like it's been there for 6 months. Can you tell me what's in that store? This is a different town. No? Gift shop? They're barely hanging on. They sell t-shirts and souvenirs. Store, the wood merchant. Can you read this writing? I told this merchant, I said, how would you like to do an experiment with me? Because I have no clue what the wood merchant is. I guess they sell stuff made out of wood, but I don't know what. Furniture, toys, whatever. He said, what do you want me to do? I said, I want you to take down the sign and repaint it. And in block letters, quality handmade gifts and furniture. What I want you to put in big letters is handmade gifts and furniture. That's it. He said, why would we do that? It's not the name of my store. And I said, well, because it says wood merchant right here, wood merchant there. I want this to be the lure that's going to pull us in. So he said, well, okay. I called him up about a month later, got him on the phone, and said, dude, did you change your sign? This is Roger Brooks. Did you change your sign? He goes, yeah. I went, whoa. Experience. He said, first of all, I had to move these cars. I had to go get a lift truck because I couldn't get a ladder there because of the awning. So I had to go rent those lift trucks, bucket truck, out of the way. I couldn't have people walk, take down the sign. That cost me a couple $100. And then I my sign for 3 or 4 days. Then that bucket truck again to put the sign back up there. And I said, I'm so sorry. How long has it been back up? He said, about a week. And I said, well, has it helped at all? He goes, I'm just joshing with you. I paid for the new sign the first day and increased profits. And I went, because I was ready to send him a check. Because handmade gifts and furniture was the lure to pull us in. Jackson, Wyoming, Grizzly Rick's Market. This was not on here. It was just Grizzly Rick Market. If I'm in Jackson Hole, I don't care about a market. He said when I added snacks, sundaes, and drinks, my sales went up by 32%. And by the way, with your blade signs, no lower than 7 feet, no higher than 9 feet. That means they can only be 24 inches tall. If you do this is a general rule of thumb, it will work for you. That way you get some consistency in your downtown without having big ones, small ones, high, low, all over the place. And we could get into sandwich boards. I didn't see sandwich boards. I'm kind of glad because you don't have that wide of sidewalks. But even if you do that, they have a design review committee. That's in Mount Shasta, California. They have a design review committee. So if you're going to do sandwich boards, they have to be approved. And by the way, if you do blade signs, you don't need sandwich boards. Unless you're a restaurant and you want to put your daily specials there. And so, things you can do. Isn't that great for a seafood restaurant? By the way, does this look like a great place to play golf? I kind of scooped down low. That's the gateway to Wedgwood Public. Does it look like nice? Right? So how about if you would pay $50 18 holes at the Jackpot Nevada golf course? Go ahead, raise your hands. $50, 18 holes. 25, 25, 10. Before. I went to him and said, what the heck? By the way, this is the clubhouse. And this is the sign of the golf course. Why isn't that sign my way? And they said, well, Roger, one of our high school students painted that billboard in the 1970s, and his parents still live here. And golf course revenues go down and down and down because signage says a lot about you. I mean, look. Yes. By $1 billion. By $4. No, by the way. See what I mean? Look at this. By the way, I took this picture in January. This is Grass Valley. These are all silk. She has an air curtain in her door, so it blows, in the winter, it blows the air down there. And I said, how long? She says, it takes me about to set those out there. They're all silk during the winter. And I said, since you started doing this, she says, oh, my sales almost doubled. Curb appeal. Number 16, you need to do this. You need to do this. This is why you need to widen your sidewalks, except where the trolleys come in there, so that you can allow outdoor cafes. You need to do this. It creates central gathering place. That's in Asheville, North Carolina. This is Fredericksburg, Texas. Population is about 5,000. They do this all in their downtown. I mean, these are just samples. A really good idea. That'll tide you over, widen your sidewalks. This is the age of gathering places. By the way, even in Asheville, they do not say you have to put stanchions out here. They don't regulate it to death. What they do is they have a rule in Asheville. It's called the crack rule. It has nothing to do with drugs or low-hanging jeans. What it is for the restaurant that to keep your patrons on this side of the crack in the sidewalk. Now, if somebody accidentally puts their chair over, they don't come and write them a ticket. They said, could you please scoot their car in? And let it free form. They have never had an American with Disabilities Act lawsuit or anything. They even create these little bowl bouts. They create places to eat. If someone finds a fire, notice this, when chairs comes down here, you know what the patrons do? They said, oh, excuse me, let me move my chair. You know what happens is we regulate ourselves to death. And I'm talking about to death literally in terms of economy. If a restaurant comes in, they'll say, we'll get rid of 2 parking spaces. We'll build this little bulb out for you so that you can do that. Even in their corners. This is Salem, Massachusetts. This is just silk flowers. It doesn't have to even be expensive. Here's what I'd like you to do to start. You could do it this summer. This is what they do in Nelson, British Columbia. This is in October. They were taking them down. During the season, during the summer, so you might start in April, May, whenever, I know you're higher elevation than other places in the Black Hills. But what they do is everywhere they allow the restaurant to put an outdoor deck out here. They were just taking the apart, say, wait, let me take a picture. Because in the winter, they take these things apart and they store them. But during the summer, they allow restaurants to put outdoor cafes out there so you don't block up the sidewalks. This is in the Rocky Mountains, the Kootenay Rockies. And they allow them to do that. Here's another, this is Wolfville, Nova Scotia. I did these because these are winter destinations. In this one, they allow people to walk around. They allow the restaurant to take up the sidewalk and then people can walk around. So there it is from that angle. Here's another one. You can walk around here. You walk all the way around and then the other side. You know what it does? It slows traffic down. It makes people look. They started doing this in Park City. If you've ever been to Park City, you know it's really steep. And it works. I would love to see some of your restaurants. Because you know what? A lot of you like casinos and there's a restaurant in the casino, but I don't know. All I see is slot machines. Most of your casinos, I have no idea whether they serve food or not. This is to make it obvious. Isn't that cool? And the merchants pay for that. So these are all just ideas. This is Canmore, Alberta, little town of 10,000 in this case. Look at these little places. You need to do this kind of stuff. Something to be as simple as that. So these are just ideas. But you don't have really wide sidewalks, but that allows the merchants to at least do that. And by any place you've seen that kinds of things, this is Ontario. They're for the bar scene. And I said, you don't have any cafe dining. And so I went to them and I said, and the city says, we do allow that. Nobody's done it. One person said, hey, Roger, I want you to pretend like you represent my restaurant. I want you to go to the city and see what it takes. You know what I went to the city and said, I want to do one of these outdoor cafes. But I got talking to the police department, the public works department, the planning department, the public utilities department, and everything. It would have cost me $15,000 and taken me 10 months to be able to do that. One city council meeting, and in 30 minutes, we changed it to $200. You could get a permit in 3 days. In the very first year, 14 restaurants went and did that. The retail sales in their downtown went up 600%. So the merchant did this. There it is from that side. Here it is from this side. Even handicap access. Notice they created the beautification there? They were closed. I took this in the evening hours. Isn't that cool? And by the way, it's all modular. They put it away in the winter for snow removal. And number 7, this one you really need to work on. Beautification. This is the little town of Mahone Bay, Nova Scotia. So is this. Does it make you want to go into those shops? This is beautification. I mean, this is what your retailers are not doing. In October in Nova Scotia, they do a scarecrow. There's Prince Charles and Lady Camilla. And you know what? That place is packed even in October. There's scarecrows everywhere. All different famous people and everything. But you know what? This includes extensions. Here's another thing you need to do. Your merchants should be allowed to use 2 feet outside their windows to move extensions of window displays to exterior spaces. This does not mean folding tables with stuff piled on. That makes you look like a second-class garage sale town. These are extensions of window displays. You would never in your window put a folding table and pile stuff on it, would you? Then you wouldn't put it outside. Doesn't that make you want to go in? She said it takes her about 20 minutes every morning to set that up, and it increases her sales. Little things like this. Today's special right there, and then a little pot plant sitting there. These are all the things you need to do for beautification. You could do this. This is Fredericksburg, Texas. Population of about 5,000. You know what they did? All their merchants got together and they pitched in whatever they could afford. $20, $25, $100, $200. They pitched in a bunch of money. They didn't keep track of who put in what. They went to a nursery and said, at the end of the season, we want to buy all your leftover pots. All they have to be is at least 24 inches across the top. So we can't take the little ones because they just get lifted and beat up and everything. 20 pots, it doesn't matter what they look like or anything. We'll take them all. Just give it to them at wholesale. You're going to clear them all out. And the nursery said it. They went and got a flatbed truck. They brought it in October. They put it on side street. Then they got 2 dump truck loads of topsoil. And here's what they did. The merchants came and just grabbed pots. This Phil Jackson's there went and grabbed all of these terracotta pots. A different business down there grabbed those pots. 2 pots. So they just went and they didn't keep track of, well, you only pitch in this much, you only get so many pots. They didn't care. They put them all over. There was a bunch left over, so this guy just grabbed a bunch of them, made a little grouping. Isn't that cool? You know what they did? They put that topsoil down the side street. Then they went to the high school students, band, cheerleaders, junior high, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. They said, we want you to help us pot the pots. So they went and got some, and most of these are evergreen. We didn't worry about annual color and all that. We just put in evergreens as much as we could. You know what happened? Because the kids did the work, they made some money. There was no vandalism. Kids protect things that they take ownership of. Their retail sales went up 20%.